If you're watching this, you probably already saw my last video about this topic and how I titled it "Every time the FNF devs leak the game." Well, I lied. I thought it was whenever I made it, but immediately I made that video in a day and forgot some stuff, which is exactly why I'm making the video you're watching right now. I'll explain some stuff I forgot about and more instances where the devs leaked the game after the video came out. Although, before I start, I want to thank everyone who found these leaks. They're way smarter than me and I won't know a lot of these without them posting it on the internet. Without further ado, let's begin. Okay, the first thing I forgot to mention was another leak before week 6 came out. So on the same day that it was supposed to be released, around 10 to 12 hours prior, Ninja Muffin accidentally posted an unfinished build of it on itch.io. It was taken down pretty fast, but some people were quick enough to download it and share it around. Looking at it now, it's nothing mind-blowing if I'm going to be honest. It is just an unfinished build of week 6. The big differences are the incomplete dialogue and Thorn's missing sprite. So the next one is pretty funny. As I talked about in the last video, they weren't the best at keeping week 7 under wraps. Phantom Arcade leaked it twice by accident and it didn't even stop with him. Ninja Muffin also leaked week 7 by showing up the code while he was working on stream. He has done this several times before, accidentally revealing console and gamepad support. However, on this occasion, he showed the names of week 7 songs before anyone knew about it.
Let's see. Sigh. I just gotta make sure.
One last thing that I want to mention before we move on to the new stuff is that this art of Cassette Girl is fake. This illustration of her was put into a fake build pretending to be the real one. This was easily debunked because nobody had the real build. It was deleted before anyone could have downloaded it. The fake build also has a fake song called Score, which also took a few people back then when the leaks were first coming out. Now, onto the new stuff. After 3 years of waiting, the entire OST for the weekend update was dropped early. The entire community freaked out when this happened since a ton of people already suspected they would drop on April 3rd because of this.
When am I gonna change my Twitter profile picture? I was wondering that the other day. Maybe just before the update comes out. So maybe that'll be like the sleeper code for FNF fans to activate. If you see my profile picture changing, I probably know the update's close and I'm getting ready for the new one.
Phantom Arcade changed his profile pic on April 22nd, and April 3rd is pretty damn close, and it was also used to be Pico Day. When the OST dropped, all hell broke loose. It was basically guaranteed that the update would drop the next day. Although it is really funny how wrong people were back then. The predictions the community made are very funny.
Here's what they could do. Today was Pico Day, but it is not Pico Day anymore. So they could be, for Pico Day 3 years ago, releasing a couple of the instrumentals, and then on Pico Day, which I think it was either May 7th or May 17th, I don't remember exactly, it had a 7, they released the update.
Maybe. That could be a good idea.
A lot of you are probably confused as to why this happened. Well, it was because the music distributor the Funkin crew used is a bit weird. I'm not a musician, so I don't know all the details, but essentially, when you release a single, an album, or whatever, you can decide when it will be released. So they obviously wanted to drop the album on April 30th since that's the day of the new update. But unlike other music platforms, YouTube doesn't allow you to do specific timing releases. So if you specify 8 PM for example, YouTube releases that song a lot earlier for people who live on the other side of the world if you're living in America. I do love how they try to prevent this for the next update by releasing it a day late. You know, just to be careful. I think that's kind of funny. Hey, Aaron or Linob here. But everything I said was correct. It probably wasn't the sole reason. It is definitely a part of it, but even on Apple Music, which is a notoriously difficult music platform to get your songs on, the OST was also dropped there early. So my best guess is that they fucked up the upload date for all platforms somehow, which is very funny. So, a thing they made a while back that no one seemed to care about is the Funkin blog. It was a place for the devs to write whatever the fuck they want and give the tiny crumbs to the community. While it was appreciated by a lot of people, some hated it since they didn't actually give out that much information about the game. I really need to emphasize that they can write the fuck they want. One of the times they did was very confusing. So on a blog on May 9th, 2023, they had one of the new guys to write a part of the blog, Shinji. The post boils down to them talking about ARGs and other games that have done it, like Delton for example with the Spamton sweepstakes. Weird thing to say in a random blog until you inspect Alma the page and find out there's ASCII, binary, and base 64 in the page source. When these are decoded, it translates to Pico Day passed, but the glorious day will come soon. The family you see is bigger than 3, and he shall see you on his 8th arrival. A lot of you interpret this as you fighting a male relative of GF, probably your brother or grandpa, for week 8. However, I lean more toward it being the brother because as I mentioned in the previous video, Bro was late around Pico's game over. bro meaning brother of course. Bro is also named as an instrumental in the files, and there's a build of the game that has bro in free play. So with all of the evidence we have, it's very likely that the next opponent is GF's brother. The funny thing about this is that this was highly contested when people found out about the secret. Ninja Muffin immediately told people that Shinji was throwing, even though Ninja agreed to put it in the block and shipped it. In the end, Shinji said that he could neither deny nor confirm the claims, which is kind of insane to me. Another time they decided to tease the game was on February 23rd, 2024. The blog this time showcased the newly updated chart editor and everything related to it. I like this blog. It was the most information we've gotten in a long time, and I'm glad that they started to be more transparent about what they're doing from this point onward. Later, people found in the GitHub repo a picture titled Chart Editor Welcome.png. This picture wasn't in the blog and was eventually deleted from GitHub. If I would guess why they didn't include this pic, it's because it spoils some stuff like Nightmare Mode and Juha's mechanic. I don't exactly know if it does since we didn't know what these were back then, but whatever. Another thing that's not exactly leak but is interesting is that Eric, one of the game's main programmers, uses Insomnia for testing the game. By looking at this picture, we can see that Rough House, the second song for the mod, is used for some kind of charting test. So that's a cool little fun fact about the game. As a lot of you know, FNF is an open source game, which means the code for it is freely available on GitHub. This is good for the community, it's why mods exist in the first place and makes it super easy to do anything for the game. But because of GitHub's features to see what programmers have done in a given repository, called a commit history, you can see shit that's unused or stuff that's not in the game yet, like these order assets for the weekend update for example. There's also a scrap judgment tier above sick called Killer. They probably decided against adding this because the timing window seems really tight. Or, a more conspiratorial idea is that this is going to be the replacement for Sick when you're playing as Pico. Speaking of Pico, there's a remix of Dad Bow with him alongside an alright remix of Coco with BF. You might say that doing a Pico remix for hundreds of songs seems kinda insane. Would they take it an extra step further and make direct remixes of the Pico remixes? Probably not. By looking at these strings of code, we can tell that Pico is the only variation of these songs, which means no Pico remixes, and I'm glad that's the case. I feel like making the musicians work that much would be classified as a form of torture. We know that Pico, Hank, Tankman, and are going to be playable characters, and they've been working on it for a long time. It seems like they're making good progress on it judging by file names such as care/gf.hex and these sound effects. This next one is something that I've been teasing for a while. So you've seen this death animation, right? An animation of the week 4 henchman brutally dying? Well, this is supposed to be a mechanic for week 4, but because of time constraints, they couldn't add it to the game. In a build from 2022, this mechanic is implemented into the game. While pretty sloppy, you can tell that it works. The henchman dies and the animation for BF and GF plays. Although apparently, this mechanic is scrapped. Eric said this is cut because it would need a whole custom death animation if it kills you. But that would be weird coming from him since Phantom Arcade streamed himself animating a death animation presumably for this mechanic. We can only guess since we don't know for sure, but it's definitely interesting to think about. The last thing that I can find by looking at people's findings is old version of Erect Fresh and GF Jingle. You might be asking, why didn't they just scrap the commit history for the repo? Fuck if I know. Now look at how times they leaked the rank skin before the pit stop update.
Oh, damn it. That's funny. Oh, that's funny, isn't it?
So after looking at all of these leaks, you gotta believe that they're doing this on purpose, right? I mean, they're not that stupid. Well, not really. The devs are humans, so they're bound to make stupid ass mistakes, and this is just a showcase of them making those mistakes. Maybe it happens a little bit too much, you know, but still. You do need to be careful when looking at some of these leaks though, since some of them look super convincing or were done by accessing the Funkin crew's official accounts, making them look official even though they aren't. Although you should still have a little common sense when looking at leaks, especially when the leaks has fucking dog on it holding a fork. Like, I seriously, I saw people who genuinely believe in this. Like, what the fuck are you genuinely brain that you think you actually stupid fucking person? Hey, thanks for watching. If you like it, subscribe and do all of the things YouTubers say. Thanks to all the people who helped me with this video because it sure as hell wouldn't be possible without their help. And also, just for transparency's sake, I do know a few more pieces of information that I didn't mention in the video. But because those things aren't that well known in the community, or the information isn't in private DMs, my hands are kinda tied. So sorry not sorry. Okay, bye.